Did you know that you and me and every single person you know have fears? Something that we are afraid of. And as you grow up, those fears change. But you know what? Every single person has something that they are uncomfortable with, that they don't like, that they are afraid of. And when you think about that, you realize that if you have certain fears, you just need to realize that you do is interesting. If you are afraid of dogs, because there are some people who are you and a friend who isn't. If the friend knows that you are working on these little fears, if that friend knows that you have a fear of being around animals like dogs, when that when what could happen? Well, if the friend knows that maybe they can take your hand. And when you're by your dogs, and that's not bad. It is interesting. Maybe you are really brave in one area, and somebody who has a fear of something else. And when you know that they have that fear, that is not to make fun of them. But you realize, my goodness, I have fears. You have fears. We all have something that we don't like. And if you know somebody else who has a little fear of what can you do, guess what? We can do this. You take their hand and you walk through that place. Maybe that person doesn't like dogs and you don't have a problem with it. You take their hands. Oh, guess what? We can be brave together. We can do this together, and it does something when people tease because somebody is afraid of something, and they say that we're not brave and we were all coward and all these things. Realize that that person who's doing that probably has a fear as well. And when you know that, then you think, well, I'm not really special in this regard. I can see that we have different things we like and things we don't like, or things we are uncomfortable with. We have those moments where we just have a deal with it. And sometimes we just have to look at the fear, right? Like if this is your fear, you look, we have those moments where we just have to deal with it. And sometimes We just have to look at the fear, right? Like if this is your fear, you look at it right in front of you and say, okay, what about it? And when then you decide whether or not you're going to be afraid of it. Sometimes when the lights go out at bedtime, it gets a little dark, and then we feel all alone. And we started thinking that something might happen, and almost every single person I know went through that. I went through that. I all of a sudden started thinking of everything bad that could happen, and I stopped one day and I thought, well, wait a minute, and then I late there, and I thought, what am I going to do? Well, if this happens, and I'm gonna be brave, and if that happens, then I'm going to be brave. And little by little, I got to the point where I wasn't afraid of the dark. And when you are like that, then you can start getting stronger in some of those things that you are afraid of. And my goodness, do not feel small. Do not feel little. Do not feel like you aren't brave, and don't get help. I I wouldn't got help. I wouldn't tell my mother, I'm having a really hard time when that light goes out. I'm afraid, and it's not bad to get help. It's just not bad. And sometimes we have things that helps us. Maybe a little light in the corner, or maybe that stepped animal that we sleep with. It makes us feel a little bit alone, makes us feel what we're not alone at all. Don't be don't be ashamed to get help. Don't be ashamed to let somebody that really loves you, that you have these little fears, and those little fears will change. And when you realize that you can be brave, then they don't have so much control over you. Fear quite often is bigger than it really is, because we don't know what to expect. There's somebody that really loves you, help you through it, fight your pet rock that you hold, the one that hold and you feel brave. Fight your stuff, and will fight something that helps you. And when you know that somebody else has a little fear, help them realize, you know what? We can do this. We can do this together, and when you get older, you're gonna find that we still have little things we need to work on, but you are practicing. I'll take your hand. We can do this, and if you have a friend that you really, really like, let them know. I'm working on this. I don't have it all the way worked out, but I'm working on this. Will you? Will help me for a minute? Don't be ashamed and make sure that you reach out so, to somebody who could really help you. We all have these little things we don't like, but you can take make them, okay?